Council President Goslin.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson. Councilman Messier. Councilman Licciardi.
Here.
Councilman Bourget. Participating communities, Town of Coventry, Town of Situate, City of Cranston, City of Warwick, Town of West Greenwich. There is a quorum declared. First item on the agenda is approval of Resolution SC 2023-01, minutes of January 17th, 2023 Sewer Commission meeting.
Move approval of the minutes.
Second. Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item is Superintendent's report.
Good evening, Council. So this is operations for January 2023. Our average daily flow was 8.3 million gallons per day. Our max flow was 14.5 million gallons per day, and our minimum flow was 1.4 million gallons per day. For CBOD removal, we achieved a 98% removal, which equated to 2.0 milligrams per liter. For total suspended solids, we also had 98% removal, which equated to 2.5 milligrams per liter. Our phosphorus removal was 0.74 milligrams per liter, which is below our limit. For sludge removal, we sent 104 tons to Synagro and 470 to the landfill for a total of 574. For a little update, Synagro was having trouble processing sludge around Rhode Island because they had a part that kept breaking. They shut down for a couple of weeks last month, or was it earlier this month? I forgot. Either way, they shut down for a couple of weeks to do a full repair on what the issue was. And as far as we know, it's back to normal. And as of last week, we started going back to Synagro regularly, which helped cut down our costs from going to the landfill. As far as our collection system for sewer backups, there were 0 in the public lines. For the private lines, there were 3. One on Archibald Avenue, one for, how do I pronounce the council? Donatos, thank you. Donato Street, and one on West Warwick Avenue. For order complaints for January, we had 0. And for facility violations, we had 1 for enterococci. I just want to touch base with that for a moment. So the facility had a violation, and what happened was it was a bad sample. We take the sample 3 times a week, and we send it out for our vendor lab to analyze it. In the 2 years that I've been here, this is the first time that we've had a violation of this sort. And the other 2 samples for the week that we took were normal. So basically what happens is we let DEM know, and they asked, did our lab do anything wrong? Did the vendor lab do anything wrong? And we don't know what the issue was, but we had a bad sample. So the facility had a violation, but other than that, no other issues to be concerned with.
Violation, any cost to that or just?
No, only long-term, if we take the sample 3 times a week. If we had 6 samples in a row, so like 2 bad weeks, DM might say, hey guys, something's off here. You might have to do a little more research to figure out what's going on that's causing the issue. But unfortunately, this was kind of, an outlier, and it happens on occasion. Hopefully not too often though.
Is that it?
Yes,
Any questions for Jeff?
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is industrial pretreatment report.
Good evening. The industrial pretreatment for the month of January. All of our significant industrial uses submitted their self-monitoring report. With the exception of Amtrol, all were in compliance. Amtrol had a violation of their oil and grease. We asked them to resample during the month of February, and they'll be reporting that next month. Phimera had no production. Obviously, they're in transition. They're trying to sell the facility for another pharmaceutical business to come in. So right now there is no discharge from 498 Washington Street. With regards to food services, we issued 1 permit for DE Foods, which is the Kentucky Fried Chicken. With regards to the private wastewater collection systems, this month we met with Showcase Cinema. They attempted to correct the force main that has some cracks in it and line it. They were going to install an intermediate manhole so that they can pull the liner and fuse it to the existing pipe. They had difficulty finding it, so they're going back to the drawing board to retrace where that force main is. That force main crosses to go from Showcase Cinema across the road to where the Shell station is, just to give you a location. Neon Market continues the construction for their gas facility. Mega Providence Street, they did submit, they began construction without the program being notified. We met with the contractor. We asked them to contact their engineer of record. And as of the end of the month, we had not seen anything from them. With regards to 9 Lives Tattooing, they submitted their application and the facility was approved. The program also met with 1090 Main Street regarding the sewer approval. As of the end of the month, plans had not been submitted yet for that facility. We also met with the owner of 207 to 11 Quaker Lane. We submitted a compliance schedule for the work to separate the 2 buildings, and the work will be taking place this spring. With regards to plan review, initially during the month of January, 40 Keys Way had submitted plans. That's a Quality Beef company. At the time of the submission in January, it did not comply with the regulations. However, since that time, they have obtained approval. They did submit proper plans, and they're under, under a final approval. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim.
Next item is a financial report. Year-to-date operating and debt expenses through the end of January totaled $5,652,305, which is 60% of the annual budget. Overtime for the month of January was $17,825, which is 12% of the annual budget. That amount also includes $4,500 in overtime that we had to spend on the Water Street repair for 24-hour coverage on the New Year's weekend. FY '23 year-to-date overtime is $91,720, which is 64% of the annual budget. Year-to-date savings in the sewer department salaries line item is $31,305, which is helping to offset our overtime expenses. In comparison with the same time last fiscal year, we have spent $15,404 less on overtime this year versus last year. Year-to-date sludge removal costs through the end of January totaled $483,773, which is 73% of the annual budget. As the superintendent mentioned in his report, for the majority of January, with the exception of 6 loads, we had to offload at resource recovery. The year-to-date increase expense of those offloads at resource recovery is $82,173 versus if we had been able to offload at Synagro for the entire year. Fiscal year 2023 sewer usage in industrial collections through January 31st totaled $5,725,892, which is 70% of the total billed. FY '23 sewer assessment collections through the end of January totaled $245,595, which is 99% of the total billed. In January, we mailed the intermunicipal bond invoices to our participating communities for our March bond payment. As of today, we've received all but 1 payment. And our cash investments through the end of January totaled $3,281,931. That's my financial report, Council President.
Any questions for Tony?
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is resolution SC 2023-02 bid award for plant chemicals.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second. Moving second, discussion. Fine. Date on where we stand.
Sure. So for,
Email out.
so for all of our plant chemicals, we asked all the vendors, will they be holding the price from last year? And everyone said no. So we went back out to bid. I believe it was methanol, another company bid, and I stayed at the same price that we were last year. So that was the one chemical that stayed level. Other than that, they all went up. I believe the largest one was lime, went up 40% for the year. I think that was our biggest increase.
Any questions for Jeff on the chemicals? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution SC 2023-03, contract extension for Polymer.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second. Move and second. Any discussion?
Council President, I'm going to take this one if you don't mind. So when the council awarded the bid for Polymer last year, the signed contract allows us to extend pricing by mutual agreement for 2 additional 1-year terms. The resolution that was signed by the council president and approved by the council only indicated a 1-year term. The vendor Atlantic Coast Polymer is agreeable to holding pricing 1 more year. In discussing it with the solicitor, because the resolution only said 1 year, we're bringing it back before you tonight to ask approval to extend another year.
Any questions on that?
They're going to hold pricing.
Sign it quick.
They're gonna hold pricing 1
Yeah,
more year.
Exactly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution SC 2023-04, purchase of scrubbing packing media.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Move and second. Discussion?
All right, so this one was a little tricky for us. We received quotes, and because of the quotes and the prices, we had to go out to bid. We went out to bid, and 0 of the companies that gave us quotes bid on the product. So we sent quotes out again, and we received 4 quotes back. And I believe we have the lowest one, and the lowest bidder that was the lowest bidder before the bid and after the bid is this vendor. So we're just asking for approval for this.
Any questions for Jeff? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item is Resolution SC 2023-05, authorization to seek funding.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second. Move and second. Who wants to take it? Jeff?
Is that you, Tony? Okay, thank you.
Bear with me 1 second, I apologize. Sorry. So council, the Senators Reid and Whitehouse are now accepting applications for the annual congressionally directed spending. This resolution would allow the wastewater facility and also the Department of Public Works and Police Department to submit applications for that funding. If we were approved and if any of the projects were approved by the senators, it would provide financing of between 50 to 80% for these projects that we would not have to pay back. We would only have to come up with our matching share in non-federally funded sources. That's kind of just a small picture on that.
Yeah, it was.
No-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. I actually encouraged these guys to do that, because we have some significant expenses down the road. Our friend Jim has been letting us know that, to take care of the Maisie Quinn area is about $1.7 million, $1.8 million, in and of itself. So if we can get even 50% of that, it's certainly a big help. So doesn't mean there's no guarantees. I know I've had conversations with Senator Reid's office. I think you have, Mark, and I know Tony, I think you have had some conversations as well. So the deadline is March 6th. Is that right?
Yes, it's Monday evening to submit the
Yes.
application.
And I think Senator Whitehouse is March 10th.
What would the time frame be to know if any of the departments are awarded?
It would be from speaking with communities that have friends of mine and other communities that have done it in the past. It would be 7 to 8 months before we hear. Probably, I should say a little bit longer. It'll probably be January of next year before we hear whether or not we've been approved.
Okay.
It's kind of a
Yes.
long
Yeah,
process.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
something that we would,
Yeah.
it would be for their next fiscal year.
You should be applying for everything.
Absolutely. And I encourage anybody, that if they know of grants out there, I mean, these are legislative, there are other opportunities as well. And I know Elaine does a good job with CDBG stuff and other things as well. So
Any other questions for Jeff or Tom? All in favor?
I
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item is public comment.
Any public comment on the sewer? Hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 1 minute recess.